Have you ever found yourself thinking, man, I wish I could smell absolutely luxurious without having to sell a kidney? Well, if you have, then this video is going to interest you because I'm going to give you 9 absolutely amazing fragrances that are going to have you smelling totally luxurious while still being able to maintain some of your more important organs. Stick around for this one, guys. Hey, welcome back to Real Scent Review. Been a while, guys, but I promise you guys the wait will have been worth it because I'm going to give you guys 9 affordable fragrances that actually smell really good quality and have decent performance. We got a decent sized list, so I don't want to take too much in the introduction here, but I'll quickly go over the criteria. The 100 milliliter version of each of these fragrances must cost less than $60 US. A lot of these don't actually come in 100 milliliter size. I'm just giving you the price of what the 100 milliliter volume would cost if it existed. Now, why am I using $60 US per 100 milliliters as the threshold? Well, because even though some of these fragrances cost much less than that, I found that if you go below a certain price, the quality of the fragrance just becomes unpredictable. For that same reason, I'm going to try my very best to avoid any clones, although there might be one very worthy exception. Because, well, we all know how many clones of fragrances there are out there. There are so many of them, and honestly, a lot of them are total crap. The fact that there are just so many clones out there, the fact that the quality can be so unpredictable and inconsistent made me just want to avoid clones on this list. But like I said, there's one really good exception. So I found $60 US per 100 milliliters to be a pretty fair price. Although, like I said, a lot of these on this list are going to be significantly less than that. Anyway, this list starts off with an honorable mention. It is Sand Oud by Mancera, not actually including it on the official list because the price is just a little bit higher than the threshold that I set. Not by much. I still consider this to be one of the absolute best fragrances in the game, and it's quite affordable too. If you want to know more about this, check out my full review. Okay, the official list begins. Number 9, this is going to be Missoni Parfum pour Homme. So the main notes in this one are going to be grapefruit, lavender, geranium, and oak. So I like to think of this one as kind of a hybrid between Bleu de Chanel and Chanel Platinum Egoist. It definitely has blue fragrance characteristics like Bleu de Chanel, but I find it has very, very strong aromatic fougere components as well. So we get the citruses in the top and the woodiness of the oak similar to Bleu de Chanel. But we also get, like I said, a really creamy, almost minty geranium with that classic aromatic, slightly spicy lavender. This one here, so good, guys. If you find yourself not wanting to pay a whole lot for Platinum Egoist or Bleu de Chanel, or maybe you already have those bottles and you want to conserve them, you should pick this up and use this as your daily driver. Maybe save the other 2 for more special occasions. This stuff absolutely rocks. If I had to put it very simply, I would say it's a more mature but just as versatile version of Bleu de Chanel. This stuff is $43 US for 100 milliliters, and you can find this on FragranceNet. Yeah, by the way, another piece of information that I forgot to mention in the intro, all of these prices are based on FragranceNet.com in the US. Why? Because I don't have a lot of time, and FragranceNet is a super easily accessible website. And besides one of these fragrances, all of them are available on FragranceNet, and I just wanted to keep things as simple as possible. So that's why all these prices are based on FragranceNet.com. Next one on this list, Azzaro Visit. The main notes in this one are going to be nutmeg, cedar, incense, and geranium. Wow, this one here at one point, I know back in the early 2000s was quite popular, back before YouTube fragrance reviews were even a thing. But man, this stuff here, absolutely, for me at least, has stood the test of time. This is a super classy masculine fragrance. In the top, we're going to get a lot of spicy nutmeg, and then we're going to be met with minty, creamy geranium, a lot of aromatic woody cedar, and some beautiful smoky incense in the dry down. This is a really classy one. I personally find it to be kind of similar to some blue aquatics out there, because in the dry down, I might just get a touch of like saltiness reminiscent of ambergris or ambroxan for that matter. But you know, this again, consider it to be like a more mature version of a blue type fragrance, but it does go off in its own direction, maybe even more facets as well of classic aromatic fragrances. We get a lot of spice from the nutmeg. There's some creamy geranium as well. Dries down, like I said, with some beautiful smoky incense. Don't sleep on this one, guys, although I do think it does lean a little bit mature. Azzaro, Visit, this is an amazing one. Next one on the list is going to be This Is Him by Zadig and Voltaire. So the main notes in this one are going to be sandalwood, black pepper, vanilla, and incense. Stunning fragrance. So this one here, really smooth. It opens up with a little bit of spicy black pepper, but really this fragrance is all about the beautiful kind of chalky, creamy sandalwood mixed with that vanilla in the dry down. There also is a little bit of resinous incense. This never goes too sweet, although it does have vanilla in the dry down. This is like a really classy type of smooth sweetness. I find particularly that sandalwood really sticks out in the dry down. Really good rendition of sandalwood in this one here. This one was actually designed by Nathalie Lorson, and she's known for adding her kind of, you know, almost woody, almost powdery, but I find more so chalky DNA in a lot of her fragrances, like Bentley for Men Intense, for example, like Givenchy Gentleman Reserve Privé, for example. That kind of chalkiness definitely exists in here. In this one, it's coming from that mixture of the beautiful, creamy, woody sandalwood and the resinous incense. Never goes too sweet. This is a super classy, creamy, masculine offering here. Going to be perfect for date nights or things of that nature, social interactions. Super, super good fragrance here, guys. This Is Him by Zadig and Voltaire. Next one is going to be Issey Miyake's L'Eau d'Issy Pour Homme Intense. The main notes in this one are going to be yuzu, lotus, ambergris, and incense. So this one here was, I believe, the first flanker, or maybe the second flanker to the original L'Eau d'Issy, which was released in the early 90s. We all know that one, a really citrus, aquatic fragrance. In fact, it was one of the first in that genre. Well, this one here takes that same DNA, amplifies it, and adds some really interesting florals and incense in the background here. This is like an aquatic fragrance for people who are tired of aquatic fragrances. We know the market is saturated with them. At a certain point, you have to question whether or not they all start to smell pretty similar. But this one here, guys, with the addition of that really watery kind of floral lotus, almost reminds me of like a watery lilac, mixed with the smoky incense in this, gives a really interesting twist on, you know, your typical aquatic citrus fragrance here. This is a really unique fragrance, and I highly recommend checking this one out. If you're a little bit mature, not necessarily in literal age, but if you have like a mature demeanor, if you have a mature sensibility, mature tastes, for example, I think you're really going to appreciate this one, because the florals and the smoke take this to another level. But this is pretty much an aquatic fragrance with florals and smoke that's going to appeal to people, like I said, who are just tired of the typical aquatic fragrance DNA. Don't sleep on this one. Another fragrance here that I don't think I've really ever heard talked about is Jacques Bogart's signature Pour Homme. So the main notes in this one are going to be nutmeg, orange, lavender, and oak moss. So this one here is an aromatic fougere in every sense of the term. It opens up with a good amount of spice, very, very nutmeggy, with some sweet citrusy orange. Kind of reminds me of like a liqueur, for example, in the top, maybe like Grand Marnier or something like that. But this dries down with beautiful aromatic, spicy lavender and a lot of oak moss. Now the oak moss in this stuff is real, and it is very apparent. This particular bottle of mine is from 1980. It's a very vintage bottle at this point, and it is absolutely stunning. Now, the thing about this one is it's definitely an aromatic fougere, but it's very spicy, very spicy. At some points, maybe I feel like it's more suited to be put into the oriental fougere category, maybe. But either way, this is a super classy, super masculine fragrance here. this performance even on my classic bottle is like super good. It's very strong for an aromatic fougere fragrance. I don't know how the newer bottles are. I don't know how they smell, don't know how they perform. The only experience I have with this fragrance is, like I said, in my vintage bottle. But based on this bottle, man, this fragrance is absolutely killer. And I think right now on Max Aroma, they actually have a sale. This is like $25 US for 90 mils, but the regular price is 50 US for the 90 ml bottle here. They only come in 90 ml bottles as far as I know. So yeah, really good price, and the quality and the performance you're getting with this one, absolutely spectacular. So if you're a fan of classic male fragrances, look no further than this Jacques Bogart's signature. Next one that I'm fairly sure all of you guys will know, Lalique's Encre Noire à l'Extrême. So the main notes on this one are going to be cypress, vetiver, cedar, and papyrus. This is absolutely the best in the line, in my opinion. This opens up with a lot of green, aromatic, kind of sharp cypress. Really interesting green, kind of woodsy note in the beginning. We get a lot of grassy, inky, vegetal vetiver as well. And in the dry down, this becomes even more woody, and there's like a pencil shavings kind of incensey feeling coming from papyrus. Amazing fragrance here. One that might not be appreciated by younger guys, but if you're fans of the note of vetiver, or if you want to learn how vetiver smells, a really good rendition of vetiver, this is going to be a really good choice for you because it is very economically priced. The quality is outstanding, and it's just one of my favorite fragrances. I love wearing this around the house when I'm reading, maybe sipping on some whiskey or something like that. Has a mature, absolutely mature feel about it, but I feel like any fragrance fan is going to be really able to appreciate this one. Don't sleep on it, guys, although I'm sure a lot of you guys already know about this one. It's Encre Noire à l'Extrême by Lalique. Another aromatic fougere, this is going to be Paco Rabanne Pour Homme. The main notes in this one are going to be lavender, rosemary, honey, and oak moss. So this one here, honestly, is probably my favorite Paco Rabanne fragrance. And no, it's not part of the 1 million lineup. It's not part of the Invictus lineup. This one at this point is a vintage fragrance. It's absolutely stunning if you're a fan of aromatic fougere fragrances. So it opens up really spicy and biting with that rosemary, but then, you know, dries down with the classic lavender, aromatic, spicy. But what really sets this one apart is the use of honey. There's a balsamic honey that hangs over all the other notes in this fragrance, gives it a little bit of an animalic, balsamic sweetness. It's not a vanillic type of sweetness, it's more so balsamic. This is absolutely stunning. And of course, there's a ton of damp, woody, earthy oak moss in the bottom of this one here. If I had to sum this up in simple terms, it would be a very soapy, aromatic fougere with some animalic honey. So yeah, this is not going to appeal to younger guys, I don't think, but if you're a fan of particularly soapy aromatic fougeres with a really interesting balsamic, almost animalic honey, this is going to be right up your alley. Just want to clear up, this bottle in particular is from the year 2000, so it's 24 years old already. It has a lot of real oak moss in it, and the performance on this one is absolutely fantastic. I can't really speak to newer batches. My only experience has been with this particular bottle here, but I recommend this 100%. Paco Rabanne Pour Homme. Next one on the list is going to be La Yucawam Pour Homme by Risassi. So the main notes in this one are going to be saffron, raspberry, incense, and leather. This is like wearing a leather jacket while going on a motorcycle trip. All of the stops to fill up on gas included, because this one here smells like leather and a little bit of gasoline. I think the mixture of the earthy, spicy saffron and the raspberry and just the leather and the incense, everything mixed together, gives off a kind of petrol accord. I thoroughly enjoy this. But yeah, the main, talking point of this fragrance is its similarity to Tuscan Leather by Tom Ford. We all know this was created as a clone of that fragrance. Now, in my opinion, this is absolutely the superior fragrance. Between this one and Tuscan Leather, I would choose this every day of the week. The quality is just the same, in my opinion. Smell is identical, but the performance on this one is actually better than Tuscan Leather. This one here, absolutely incredible fragrance. I wouldn't say it's completely beginner friendly, but I don't think it's challenging at all. Having said that, I would not recommend this to somebody maybe as their first fragrance, but maybe as their first leather-based fragrance. I would consider, recommending this to somebody in that case. Incredible incensey leather fragrance with some spice and a little bit of that tart, bitter fruitiness from the raspberry. This stuff here, absolutely incredible. One of my favorite special occasion fragrances. One of my favorite leather fragrances in general. I'll always recommend this one to you guys. Now, I've heard some things about, newer batches have weaker performance. Well, all I have to say is that my bottle here is a really good performer. It smells of very high quality. And honestly, I have smelled some of the newer batches and I don't really detect much of a difference. So I'm not going to go into a full-blown comparison between old and new batches of this one. I'll just say that I highly recommend it to you guys if you're looking for, first of all, a really good leather fragrance, and also if you want to, buy something that smells like Tuscan leather, but you don't want to pay that full amount. L'Aiuto Amporon by Risassi. Final member of this list, Bentley for Men Intense. Oh my goodness. In my opinion, one of the absolute best cheap fragrances of all time. The main notes in this one are going to be bergamot, bay leaf, rum, and vanilla. So yeah, this is going to open up with a lot of bergamot and bay leaf. So it's going to be citrusy and very aromatic at the same time because of that bay leaf. But as we go drying down, we get intense rum. The rum in this feels like it's been, aged in oak barrels because there's a very, very prominent woody characteristic to this one as well. And in the dry down, it's mixed with a little bit of vanilla, but it never goes overly sweet, never goes cloying. This fragrance is the epitome of class and style, as far as I'm concerned, at least within the realm of what we would consider to be affordable fragrances. This, I'm going to come right out and say it, I think is absolutely niche quality, which is something a lot of people might not expect coming from a car manufacturing company like Bentley. But alas, here we are. I would consider this one of the best fragrances in my collection, and it cost me like less than 30 euros when I bought this. This is a classy, maybe a little bit of a mature leaning fragrance. I would wear this for special occasions. Oh yeah, this is another work of Nathalie Lorson, and we absolutely detect some of her classic DNA in this, that chalky, almost powdery woodiness in a way, coming from that oak barrel that I believe the rum in this fragrance was aged in. At least that's what it smells like to me. Amazing fragrance. I cannot recommend this one enough. By the way, another thing, this is my 2019 batch. It's absolutely beast mode, extremely strong fragrance. Bentley for Men Intense, absolute masterpiece. Anyway, guys, that's been my list of 9 absolutely amazing quality fragrances that can be had for affordable prices. I know in the grand scheme of things, there are a ton of other options out there, but I wanted to keep this one simplistic as possible. I wanted to include ones that are not extremely under the radar, but also not like extremely popular at the same time. I wanted to find a nice middle ground in the hopes of maybe teaching you guys 1 or 2 new fragrances in this video. Anyway, I hope I've succeeded in doing that. What are your guys' favorite economically priced fragrances? Please leave some comments below, guys. I always love to hear from you guys. And anyway, until next time, keep it real.